Morning all. In fact, Happy New Year to y'all. New year, new vid, new engines. What's this I hear you say? That's not a diesel. No, it isn't. It's a glow plug. It's an Enya 09 Mark III glow plug from perhaps the 1960s. I succumbed again this year to the glow plug siren song, having had a little thimble drone years ago, but mostly a few years ago I gave it up because of the paraphernalia of these things: batteries, clips, leads, mostly which go flat, but never mind, we'll come back to that. This particular engine is quite a sporty one. When it was tested by Aero Modeler, it was reckoned to be one of the best 09s around. That's about 1.6 cc. In fact, it was so good that it said it beat the Cox TD of the same size up to about 14,000 revs in terms of torque, power. After that, the Cox pulled away because it was a high revving screamer like all the Coxes. We'll talk about that again in a minute. But this one again was described by David Owen, the late David Owen in Australia, as the best 09 sports glow he'd seen, and this is backed up. There's an Aussie website called Super Cool Props. This has some really technical stuff on it, but it also has in the articles a few eulogies to this Enya 09. This one I got where, on the dreaded Evil Bay. I think it was probably very little used. It's certainly in good nick. It's got a nice poppy compression, which is good for a glow. So as you know, they have not a lot of compression. This one, like some other engines, has in the Venturi here the facility to, I'm trying to do this without looking at the thing, not easy, has a facility to put a little, where's it gone, restrictor, fits there in the Venturi. The spray bar goes around it. That cuts the volume of the Venturi down quite a lot and reduces its power, and of course it increases its fuel economy. But without that Venturi, this thing really does belt along. It's well made, as the Enyas always are. Did I call it a Fuji to start with? I can't remember, I hope not. It's an Enya. The only crib I've got is the screws on top are as soft as the proverbial. If you could replace those with a modern cap head, you would, but the threads are some obscure Japanese origin, and the only way to do that is to drill them out and start again. I'm not really up to that. But this is a really nice engine. It swings that 8x4 prop like a good one, and we'll show you that in the next vid or two after that. But never do things by halves. Here's another glow. This one very different. It's a Cox, not an 049 TD, but an 051, which is very slightly bored out. For some reason they decided to do that for competition purposes. Seems a very small advantage, but it does actually give out a tiny bit more power than the 049. This one is the same as all the Coxes ever made, and I don't think they're made anymore, but you can get all the bits. The TD was the top of the range, and this one, when it was tested, was given the accolade of the most powerful glow. A phenomenal power output, in fact. But it shares common characteristics with all the Coxes, really, of which there must be 30 or 40 variants over the years. Cox probably got more kids and adults involved in planes and engines than anybody else. All the rest put together, probably. He must have sold millions. But they share these characteristics. They're mass produced, but the engineering is superb. Every item is turned, there's no castings, so the crankcase, the cylinder head, everything is turned. And they were put together very cheaply. When Cox brought out an 010 cubic inch in the 60s, the reviewers, the Warings and the Chins, said there's no British company could make this at this level of precision. And I think at that stage, maybe now, they were right. The Cox features, where is it? A little integral glow head with the, so the glow head screws off and another one fits in, so it doesn't have a glow plug separate, it's just in there. Although they seem to be very small, very compact, they seem to run down the old batteries there quicker than an ordinary glow plug. I don't know why. And you can play with the number of copper shims in the cylinder head to reduce or increase the compression. So this comes to bits quite easily with the aid of that little gadget. That's a tool that fits the head, the cylinder, the back plate, the prop, the venturi nut, everything. And it all takes to bits with the aid of that tool. You don't need anything else. They're incredibly well made, as I said. The piston, the small end, there's no gudgeon pin, there's no wrist pin. The conrod fits into the piston with a ball and socket joint, which is quite unusual. These come loose and you have to whack it with a special tool to tighten it up. There seems to be some debate as to whether that actually tightens the joint or makes the piston more domed, or a bit of both. Either way, I don't know. It's a fabulous engine, it really does scream, and like all other Coxes, it likes its drogs, it likes its nitro. You can get this going on 5 or 10%, but not very well. The throttle response, or rather the needle valve response, is crude. It needs about 15% nitro, ideally, to make it sing. Whereas our friend here, the Enya, is quite happy on straight 80-20, 80 methanol, 20 oil, no nitromethane. Those keen people amongst you might see that the prop here is fitted the wrong way around, reverse. It's actually slightly too big for this Cox, so if you reverse a prop, it is less efficient, it makes less thrust, and I think it's easier for the engine to rev a bit. So this is a 6x4. What you really want is a 5.5x3, but they are tiny. But it does go well on that prop. Reversed. So a question for you out there. FAI, the competition body that rules free flights, endurances, state that for glow plugs they must use a non-nitrated fuel, 80-20, and somehow you can tune these babies to work on that. I don't know how, possibly giving it a lot of compression. If anybody knows that, you can post a reply on my video. Well, those are the two glow plugs. I'm reverted back to childhood on these two, and so far so good. They've been great. I'm going to mount them in a plane at some point. I don't know what, to give them a little more exercise. So, thanks for watching. See you all soon. Bye bye.